Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in. We are doing a Hot Topic Thursday for these lovely ladies. Both Michelle, so you can't go wrong. I just have to, decipher who I'm talking to, I suppose. Michelle Goldrick reached out to me and has some exciting news, but also has a topic she wants to discuss tonight. And I know also that Michelle Wesgarth is very passionate about the same topic. So, ladies, what are we here to discuss this evening?
The emotional effects of miscarriage.
Of miscarriage and pregnancy loss.
Yeah.
So why is this now all of a sudden? I mean, I know it's been a priority for you women to discuss this for a while now, but why tonight? Why now? Why do we want to put this out there tonight?
I think mostly because both Michelle and I have been doing a lot of work on this and a lot of thinking about this topic recently, and it's something that's always been sort of on the forefront of both of our minds. And I think for Michelle, there's something more pressing, more urgent, it's really in the forefront of her mind right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you want to just start with that then, and we can kind of play off it, or was that like your big build-up? It's totally up to you.
Yeah, it's after I had my daughter back in 2011. Since 2015, we decided to start trying again.
What does that mean?
Start trying.
Trying how? I'm just kidding. So you're having sex actively. I just wanted to say it, but apparently.
Diagram.
Yeah, sure. Okay, you started trying again.
Yes.
This is you and your current partner, Jim.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And
put him on the spot there too a little bit.
And 4 miscarriages later.
Yep.
It's gotten to the point where it's just like how does this end up happening? I think secondary miscarriage is something that a lot of people don't really understand or know a lot about, and even I myself am kind of going through the motions of everything as well too. But it's becoming more and more of a predominant situation. As to why, I have absolutely no idea as of yet. But I'm now currently pregnant with the 5th.
Congratulations.
Thank you. We're still way far from being out of the woods just yet, but we're 9 weeks along right now, and crossing our fingers the whole way, so.
Not gonna work for you, for sure. You said secondary, what was it that you said?
Secondary miscarriage.
So what's a secondary miscarriage, just so that I know?
Secondary miscarriage occurs after, a live birth. And then, you try to get pregnant again, and for whatever reasons, it's just not happening.
Right. So this means that you already successfully had a child,
yes.
And then you're miscarrying after that.
Yes.
Okay. So every miscarriage that you had has been a secondary miscarriage, right? Because it
would be, yeah.
Yeah, after McKenna.
Yeah.
Okay. And for you, you don't have any kids.
No kids.
So you don't have secondary. You just have the primary miscarriages, right? Or is that what they're called, or
Just miscarriage.
Just miscarriage. I guess you don't need a primary.
Yeah, that's when they start looking at infertility. Right?
Okay.
So that's when they start looking at things like the possibility that you may not be able to have children, and
right.
then you're into infertility. So
right.
that's sort of the journey that I've had to sort of take.
Right.
And secondary miscarriage can lead to that too, because you can have infertility after having a successful birth as well. So
wow.
it's a little more complicated, than most people think of just loss.
Right.
They just think, oh well.
Right.
Michelle and I talk about this a lot. The response to miscarriage is sort of seen as something that it's just, well, you can try again. You can have another one.
Right.
Sometimes no, you can't.
Sometimes it's not that simple.
Yeah.
Well, and also, the clock is ticking, right? So,
yeah.
We don't have our whole lives to try and have babies.
Right.
So,
right.
It either happens or it doesn't.
Right. And there comes a time where it's not healthy for you or for the baby if you do pursue that route, right? Or is that still kind of in?
That's still
debatable.
Is it debatable? Okay.
Yeah.
You know more than I do. I just probably know the older information.
Well, it's you're seeing people go through fertility treatments, right? Well into their 40s.
Mm-hmm.
people in their 50s are having babies.
Right.
So
Not sure how that's happening. but-
yeah, you know.
What did it used to be the age that was sort of the cutoff age?
Like
for-
Oh my god, yeah, like 25.
I had a kid by 20.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Old maid.
My mom, she had me when she was 30, and that
Yeah,
was
that
like
was a
unheard of.
Really?
Oh yeah.
So we're doing a lot better than we once upon a time were. So
Yes.
your clocks, I mean, they're not ticking quite as quickly as once upon a time. We're okay because of medical.
Well, I think according to my fertility doctor.
Biologically. Yeah. Well, what? So I mean,
There's old age sort of ways of thinking of it, just like in any medical realm, right? There's an old school way of thinking about it that perpetuated a lot of sort of societal myths. One of which was that, you know, past 30, you are too old to have babies, and so there was a big fear factor out there that the genetic defects, the increase in the risk for that, you know, all of these sort of risk factors that they throw out there. But then, you know, I think it's helped that a lot of people in Hollywood, I mean, I hate to say Hollywood's been a help for anything, but Hollywood seems to have, you know, you've got people like, who is it? What's her name?
Jennifer Lopez.
Yeah, J-Lo, and you know, Brad and Angelina.
She was well into her 40s when she had her twins.
Exactly,
Yeah.
right? And so you're seeing more and more people who are in their 40s, mid to late 40s, having children. Now, did they go through miscarriages leading up to that? I don't know. This was probably a financial choice or maybe a career sort of decision that they've done the things they wanted to, and now it was time for them. So you are seeing people later and later have children,
Yeah.
right? So there's not really quite that pressure, but there also still is that pressure. It still is a very real, you know, from families and from friends when you get married. And then, you know, a year or two
when
later.
are you gonna have babies?
Exactly. When's
Right.
the baby's coming? When's the baby's coming?
Right.
When's the baby's coming? And
Well, and
if they
especially
don't-
if you miscarry too.
Yeah.
It's just like, okay, well, when are you gonna get pregnant again? Like
Right.
when, like
What's wrong?
when is this gonna happen? Like, you know, like.
How does that make you feel after you've just gone through a miscarriage and someone says, when are you going to start trying again?
Well, it's just, I just think like, you know,
That's
it's just that
insensitive.
thing that's over your head, right?
Yeah.
And it's, you know, for me, it's always been a tricky situation because being in my industry, like, you know, I feel that you either need to be really pregnant or, you know, not pregnant at all type of thing, right?
Right.
So, you
Why
know,
is that? Just
this,
because
this kind of in-between aspect.
the
just-
image isn't good for that?
it's just not good.
Really?
I mean, like, that's just me, right?
Yeah.
But, you know, and so it's a little frustrating on my part because, you know, it stalls my career. And I really have to put everything on the back burner to try and make this thing move forward, right?
Right.
So,
Yeah.
you know, dedicating 2 years to, you know, all of these miscarriages is taking its toll for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah, I can't imagine. Are you, like, does it feel different this time around?
I hate to say like that it does or it doesn't. You know, you always
Yeah.
feel like superstitious. You
Right.
know, you say, oh, you know, if you get your hopes up and you know you're gonna shoot yourself in the foot, and that's the unfortunate aspect. That's
Yeah.
the really unfortunate aspect, is because you know I'm robbed of the ability of really being able to get excited or happy about anything. You know, I can't. You know, go looking at, you know, baby clothes or, you know, planning baby showers. I don't even want to go there. I don't want to talk about it, you know,
right.
because you don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. And that's a terrible place to be. That's, you know, you know, you don't know whether to talk to anybody or tell anybody about it. You know, I've never been a believer of the 12 weeks nonsense. I don't even know who made that rule.
Right.
But, you know, just if you want to tell people, just tell people.
Yeah. It's
But
meant to be.
if it's meant to be, it's meant to be, absolutely. But, you know, I've always been very honest and very transparent with all of my clients and with, well, anybody in general. So I tell it like it is what it is, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, but it's not something that, unfortunately, I can jump up and down about just yet. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, I'm pulling for you. I mean, I really am. You've been through so much, and I can't imagine what it feels like going through this time and time again. And I really feel like if anybody deserves to have a child right now, it's you.
Thank you.
Yeah. So I really hope that that it happens for you. What did you want to? Both of you came on here with a message that you kind of wanted to share. What do you want to get across tonight? What is it that is really kind of irking to be said here that isn't being talked about?
I think there's a lot. I think that's the thing, is it's a conversation opener.
Sure.
It's not so much that we have the message, right?
Right,
It's more that it's a conversation. It's more that
it's a conversation that's not happening.
Yeah, there's a
How
lot
is
of
it not
women out
happening?
there that struggle with this.
Okay.
And it's a shameful thing. And still in society, I mean, you can lose your mom, you can lose your dad, you can lose someone close to you, you can lose your pet. And it's recognized by society. There's a mourning period. It's that's a valid death. But a miscarriage, especially an early miscarriage in the early stages,
Right.
it's sort of seen by the medical world, by sort of everybody as
It doesn't exist yet.
Yeah, it's not a
real.
viable pregnancy.
Yeah, it's not a real life. So you're kind of robbed of the ability to grieve it even, and you feel guilty, and you feel there's a lot of emotions tied up with it, just like any death or any loss. But you're almost robbed of the ability to grieve that. There's no leave. You can't take leave for work from that. It's a sick leave. There's no as if you lost a father or mother, you would have time off of work. Losing a child that's in early stages of pregnancy, there is no loss. You have to take a sick leave for that.
Right.
It's not even seen as recognized through that, through employment law. Unless you have a very, understanding employer, of course.
Unless you are your own employer.
Or you're your own
Right. Sure. Well, then you've experienced it firsthand, so you know that it's a bigger deal than it's made out to be.
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's a conversation. It's a conversation that needs to be opened up and have people understand it a little bit better. The medical world needs to understand it too, because we've both, and so many other women that I've heard of, are treated kind of just brushed off, right? You're in the hospital, you're kind of hooked up to a bunch of stuff, but they don't treat the medical, the emotional part of it. They treat the physical, and
Right.
there's some things that happen while you're in the process of a miscarriage sometimes, like a waiting period. They'll tell you that you've lost your baby,
Right.
or that possibly you've lost your baby, and then you're going to wait a period of time to see if your body gets rid of that baby, but they use other terms, right? But to get rid of, basically to see if your body's going to bleed out normally and naturally as your body should do. If
Right.
it doesn't, they're going to schedule for a D&C, but it's about a week, that waiting period, and that is traumatizing for women.
So you're sitting there knowing that there's a non-breathing, non-alive
And you're walking
organism.
around for another week and a half with them inside you, yes.
What does that feel like?
Horrible. It feels like your body's a tomb. You can't breathe. You can't move on. You are still pregnant because your body thinks you're still pregnant. It's awful. It's awful.
Yeah, it's a terrible place to be.
No kidding. Yeah, like I can't imagine, obviously, but I'm trying to, and that doesn't sound like anything that anybody should experience.
Yeah.
When it comes to that week that you're sort of, have both of you had this same sort of thing happen where you've been told that you no longer have a baby and you had to wait that extended period and get it, like I don't want to get too into detail here, but have you had to do a medical procedure to have the...
I had to. For
every single one?
Yeah. Well, no, there was two that just ended on their own, but there was two that my body held on to. So I had to go through the D&C process. Yeah.
Right.
But for the second one, that was definitely the most traumatizing, because at that point, I should have been 17 weeks along. And I was paranoid the whole time just because of the first one. And I kept asking for ultrasounds because I just needed to know that things were progressing properly. And I kept getting denied ultrasounds. And then, I was told by my doctor, well, I could ultrasound you today, but it doesn't mean your baby's not going to die tomorrow. So...
That's how it was said in those...
That's how it was said, yeah.
It's a little insensitive.
So I'm like, okay. And so then when I came back in for a 17-week appointment with the Doppler, they're trying to find the heartbeat, and they couldn't find anything. So then they sent me over for emergency ultrasound, and then at that point, that's where we discovered that the baby had actually died 5 weeks ago. And
wow.
I was walking around the whole time thinking that I was still pregnant, no symptoms, no nothing.
For 5 weeks.
For 5 whole weeks.
Wow.
Yeah, so, and then I had to wait another almost 2 weeks to have the D&C. So
After finding out that the baby had already been inside of you
dead.
Yeah, for 5.
For 5 weeks.
For 5 weeks.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it's a terrible place to be, and I know that I'm not the only one out there that has gone through situations such as this, and there's people that have gone through far more terrible situations like this. But I think Michelle, she approached me about this a while ago. Is that there really needs to be more of a conversation. Now that I'm in major state of paranoia, I can't spend an hour alone without Googling the shit out of stuff.
Right.
And I start trying to find forums and try and find anybody out there that has like the same relatable situation as me. And it's so hard to find. Like there's no conversation out there. It's so hard to find.
So you think there needs to be more support systems? There's
no support systems. There's no resources. You're just basically, instructed by the doctors to just go home, wait it out, and hope for the best. And it's just like when you go through all of that, you can't shut your mind off without thinking, what the hell is going on,
Right.
So, do I suggest, having an ultrasound every single day? Well, no, but there definitely needs to be more resources out there. There needs to be more support for women that are going through this, because it's enough to drive anybody crazy.
Well, I mean, if you, especially on top of, you both done podcasts with me individually, so I know a little bit more about you than probably the average person. And you guys can find those on our YouTube channel, by the way. But you deal with high functioning anxiety.
Yes.
So for someone with anxiety to have all these thoughts and paranoia is probably not the most pleasant state to be in. Yeah. So what do you feel you need right now? Like, you obviously need some support systems, but what do you feel would help?
I think just having a little bit more knowledge or with people that have relatable stories. It's something that I can find that I can relate to. Right. And I know it's out there, and it's just there's nowhere to find it. Right. My particular situation right now is like my HCG numbers were climbing super fast right out the get-go, and everybody started joking, oh, maybe it's twins. And I was following the HCG numbers because that's part of my anxiety, where I start getting obsessive about things. So right. I was going in for blood work every couple of days just to follow these numbers, because nobody else cared about these numbers but me. Right. And then the one day the numbers dropped, and I was like, oh shit, here we go. Yeah. And they dropped by 400. I don't know what they are, points or what they're measured in. Yeah. I don't know. But anyways. So then I called the fertility clinic, and they had me come in for an emergency ultrasound that day, and that was at the 5-week mark. And at that point, everything looked intact, everything looked good to go, and they told me to come back the following week. So I've been going back every single week, and it's been progressing. So that's good. Yeah. The cardiac movement, they're not entirely happy with, so that's a little cautionary. Right. But now when I went back last week, something that they didn't see in any of the other ultrasounds is now I have 2 yolk sacs in the same gestational sac.
I have no idea what that means.
Yeah. So that's the possibility of monoamniotic twins or whatever. But they didn't explain this to me. Okay. I researched it like how.
So they just told you.
They just said, well, we don't know what that is. That's inconclusive. They love that word. Inconclusive.
Right. So you could potentially have twins.
I could, but they only see one fetus in there. So, then I'm searching online and I'm looking at all these different forms, and there's ladies on there that they say, it was one fetus and they went back 2 weeks later and there's 2. Or it could be the vanishing twin syndrome, which one didn't make it, but the other yolk sac is there, but it just doesn't make sense. Why would the other yolk sac show up now? Yeah. But anyways, I don't know. So that's the kind of thing that I'm talking about. Is like, right. I leave that clinic with no information, no support, no resources. I'm stuck to researching this stuff myself because that's what I do. Mm-hmm. And I have to come up with my own conclusions as to what the hell is going on. Right. So, I definitely think that there needs to be a lot of advancements, especially when people are going in there to the fertility clinic. Like, obviously these people are having issues, so they're going home and they're thinking about these things and they're worried and they're panicked and they're paranoid and they're traumatized and this, that, and the other thing. And you're just leaving them with, oh, it's inconclusive. Come back next week.
So they don't really give you any reading material when you leave.
They give you nothing. They didn't even say anything about the 2 yolks, right? They just were like, well, I don't know what that is.
So the solution then, you think, is to kind of build a support system away from the clinic. Is that kind of...
Absolutely, because you're not getting it there.
Yeah.
You're getting strictly clinical stuff. That's it.
And is that kind of what you're planning on doing here? Or
kind of, yeah. I think it's worth looking. I mean, it's a group of people who have gone through this and have different experiences, but still the same kind of experiences.
Right.
So the medical system and the lack of support is definitely a recurring topic amongst all of us.
Yeah.
So we're looking at, how do we start a grassroots sort of support system that's built by women who experience this? So that we can kind of put something together that might have helped us when we were going through it, that would help us now if we're going through it, that kind of thing, and take our knowledge. But yeah, I think it has to be integrated with the medical system as well. So we're kind of looking at a way that, is there a learning component of it, like a teaching component that might work with the medical system to kind of reach out to them and have, like in-services. How to talk to somebody who's going through this, what not to say.
Right. So there's a lack of sensitivity when it comes to having these conversations.
Exactly. So to kind of, even to take it back to their schooling, right? And look at, well, what are GPs taught when they're going through school? Do they even address the emotional state of people who are in the middle of this? Because my thinking is probably likely not.
No, I would have to go with that.
Yeah, and then the bedside manner, and in fertility clinics, sometimes it's private doctors. So, reaching out to them and kind of, and also reaching out to the first floor people, right? So your secretaries, your nurses, the people that get the phone calls of somebody crying on the phone, right? Those people, because they're sometimes the ones that can push a little bit higher up through to the docs and kind of get to them and sort of say, listen, like, we need this service, and we know that, but there's only so much you can do at a grassroots level where you still have to rely on the medical system, and you're left walking out of those offices feeling even more confused and even more scared, right? And that's just so bad.
Well, yeah, and I mean, when you think of the fertility clinic, you think, oh, this is where I'm going to get some help. This is where I'm going to get some support, and the people that walk through those doors, like, they're damaged, like, stuff has happened to them, so, and I really feel that there's such a major lack of empathy. There's just that lack of, I guess, connection with the concept altogether. So, I consider myself a pretty strong chick, that's for sure. I mean, I've gone through hell and back in a handbag, but you got somebody in there who's a fragile egg that's, being spoken to the way that I'm spoken to, or dealt with the way that I'm dealt with, and oh my God, you're going to, like, destroy that person.
Right.
So I see a major problem. I see a lot of disconnection, for sure.
So for someone that's sort of, I'm right now thinking about someone that's going through this experience for the first time, that doesn't have a lot of experience with loss in their lives, or fighting off cancer, for instance. But this is the first big trauma in their life, being spoken to the way that you've been spoken to by someone. What do you think that would do to that person?
It just
crush
makes
them.
you feel worthless.
It just crushes them, right?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, these people, they put, all their hopes and everything into that pregnancy, and, you basically rip that rug right out from underneath them.
Yeah.
It's not
there's
just
a heavy level
world.
of insensitivity.
Like, that's the thing. It's not just the medical world. It's people in general.
Well, that too.
Will say really insensitive things. Like, when I went through mine, I had
stay
family
positive.
members. Yes.
Yeah.
Family members, friends, partners.
Do you think those are people that haven't experienced the loss of a miscarriage, though?
Not necessarily.
So people that have even gone through a miscarriage might be insensitive.
Yeah. Some people can shut that door, right? It's something that they don't want to deal with it,
right?
Because they know that pain. But yeah, you do. You hear things like, oh, you can have another one, or
that seems to be the common one.
It's a huge
just
one.
like, there's always next time.
Yeah.
Keep trying.
You can try again.
Yeah.
Right?
They're not Kleenexes, they're babies.
Yeah.
Yeah. This isn't something that's disposable. It's still an impact for us, but it's hard. Like, if you were to have, for me, my first pregnancy was the loss of twins, and they were we were 5.5 months, and it did eventually cause the breakdown of my marriage. But and the lack of support, both from our families and from ourselves. I didn't know how to support him. He didn't know how to support me. He went to work. I curled up in bed and cried myself to sleep for 2 weeks.
Right.
And then got back up and was like, okay, take the advice of everybody, which is basically suck it up and get back out there. Right. You're not allowed to grieve. Because you didn't actually have a baby, right? Stillborn's a little bit different. There's a little bit of a different kind of way that people handle that. It's more of a,
Really?
Yeah. Whereas it's not an actual, you didn't actually have a baby, you didn't actually produce a baby. So there's a little bit of something different when it's an early pregnancy loss, where you're not actually going through that burial process and you don't actually have a life to sort of mourn or loss.
Right.
So women are just, they're treated, people are well-meaning. I think it's honestly well-meaning, but they say the dumbest shit to you. And it's just like...
No, I know.
People say dumb shit to you when you have cancer too, so...
Yeah.
I think that people say dumb shit when they just don't know enough about
That's
it.
it. They just don't know what to say.
Yeah, people just say dumb shit. I say dumb shit, It's not that we... okay, so as a man... if I were to experience this with a woman down the road, what's the best way that I could support her? What kind of support are you looking for?
Talk about it.
Talk about
Talk about how you're feeling.
Don't push away the feelings. Don't disregard their feelings. It takes a long time to kind of ride it out, and it's not just like, just get back up and go back to work.
Right. How is Jim, if you don't mind me asking, hopefully he doesn't either, but how's he been dealing with? This is 4 for him, right?
It's 4 for him.
Yeah.
He doesn't deal with any of them.
So you're more the emotional...
He just kind of emotionally shuts down. I don't know, for his own protection or whatever, but I'm pretty much,
You're the one who's kind of getting emotional about it.
Well, and I have to, also deal with the emotions of McKenna on top of that,
right.
Because I have a little girl who's super eager to be a big sister,
right.
And it breaks my heart.
Yeah.
Every time I have to tell her.
Yeah. Does she know about this one?
Yes.
Yeah? Okay. So, another knock on wood and fingers crossed, because I really want this one to happen for you guys. You guys deserve it. So for support systems from a partner and from a man or from a woman or whatever the couple, how do we support one another just by talking about the way that we feel, not giving advice? Because this is a new experience for both of the people involved, right? I'm trying to figure out the best way to communicate through this.
I think advice is kind of the wrong word, but I think
right.
you have to share how you're feeling, each
right.
of you. And I think, coming from it from the perspective of having gone through it the wrong way and having had it led to divorce, basically.
Yeah.
Stay together through it. Realize that you're both grieving and give yourself that time to grieve, but talk about how you're grieving. Talk about how you're feeling.
Right.
Talk about the fact that, I feel like curling up and dying and he feels like going to work forever, or, he's very emotionally cold, and talk about that and just kind of try to open that door. Go to couples counseling if you have to.
Yeah.
I really do believe in counseling and therapy to open that conversation, because sometimes you do not have the tools, right, yourself. Mm-hmm. Sometimes you just don't. And in these kind of situations, I think seeking outside help is beneficial for both of you to learn how to support each other through this process.
Right.
It's just coping processes.
Yeah.
For sure. And it kills me every time as well too, because this is his first child. So you feel like you're robbing them of something that should be joyous for them. It should be a wonderful experience, and
right.
He's having to go through this with the first pregnancy, and I feel the guilt of that, because it's just like I feel that I've robbed him of that happiness, right?
Yeah.
It's not, but that's how she feels.
Yeah.
Right? And there's the thing, right, is you have to validate those feelings.
Right.
You have to understand that those feelings are very real, because once you've experienced a miscarriage, you do experience the feeling of letting everybody down.
Really?
You do internalize that because it's your body.
Yeah.
Right? It's your body that somehow something went wrong in.
Well, it happened in you.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But you don't have control over everything that happens in you.
You don't, but the
But the
feelings,
feelings,
are there,
they are
and that
there.
is
Well,
what
I am a
will
bit
come
of a
up.
control freak.
There's something you can.
Right. Okay.
But yeah, you know,
But yeah.
so those feelings, and that's what I kind of tell people is validate the feelings. Whatever you're feeling, they are real.
Yeah.
You know, there's no should in this. There's no you should feel this or you should feel this or you shouldn't feel that. You're gonna feel what you feel. So whatever that feeling is, I think the best thing for a partner or a person or a friend to do is validate that feeling and be like, yeah, that fucking sucks. You know?
Yeah.
Like, just sympathize, be there with that person in their pain.
Right.
You know, and don't do the shoulds. Don't do that, because that's, you know,
Well, shoulds are rarely ever a good thing.
never a good thing.
Right. So.
Yeah, there's no way to know how you're.
You know what? And sometimes just allowing them to be sad. You know,
It's okay.
You
It's
can be
normal.
Mhm.
You should be sad.
You are allowed to be
Right.
sad.
Yeah.
You're allowed to feel like shit about this, you know? So
Mhm.
it's not like, hey, buck up, throw a smile on your face, you know, carry on,
Mhm.
you know? It's sometimes it takes a long time. And sometimes, you know, it's like I'm saying, you know, I'm going into this, you know, pregnancy and I'm still carrying around the other miscarriages along
Yeah.
with it.
Right.
Because I can't move forward, you know,
Right.
so until I'm not inconclusive anymore.
Right. Right.
So you know, it's a shitty place to be, that's for sure.
Yeah, you can't celebrate. You can't get excited. You know, you don't feel like you're entitled to be happy about it.
Yeah.
You know, like somebody going through it the first time and with no problems and things, they get the shower and they get the big reveal pictures and they get the, you know, the photo shoot ready and what are we going to do and the names and all of that, right?
Yeah.
Well, you're
What are we
running
going to do for like the gender reveal and all of this, and when are we going to tell our families?
Yeah.
And
But then you
you know.
feel like the bad one going, well, if.
you know,
Right.
I go
Yeah.
into
Yeah.
chapters and I find like a cute little pair of booties, and it's like I pick it up and I'm like, no, don't do that.
Yeah.
Don't go
Don't
there.
get excited. Don't
Don't.
buy clothes.
Just don't.
Yeah.
You know, so
Breaks my heart. Feel so badly. I don't think anyone should have to experience this, and it really sucks that you do. Advice for women that are kind of going through the same thing. Maybe someone is in the exact same position who's gone through miscarriages before and is not telling anyone purposely because they don't want to go through any of this stuff until they know for sure. What advice do you give to struggling people that are in your spot, like the mirror reflection of yourself?
don't be afraid to talk.
Yeah?
Yeah, I mean, you got to get it out. The more you hold that stuff up, you got to get it out there. You got to talk. You got to talk to somebody. You got to find somebody to talk to.
But yeah, do you find that even is it easier for you to go through the hassle of being up against all these people who would want to do these happy things for you, and you're just like, no, just wait. Like, I understand why some people might want to wait, and I understand why you want to talk about it too.
Mm-hmm.
But are you finding that that's just for you the way that's best for you to deal with it, and accept it or don't accept it?
Well, I think it's going back to the whole thing of like holding up your emotions, right? So it's kind of where Michelle was touching on, sometimes your partners do that, sometimes the women do that.
Right.
Where you just kind of put up that wall of defense. I don't know. Is that fair to say that that's your best way of dealing with it? I'm no psychologist. All
No.
I know is that there is no help for anybody out there, and that's the problem.
Right.
So whether you want to talk about it or whether you want to hold it up, and either way, we all need help.
Right.
And it's not there.
So you think that even if a woman doesn't necessarily want to admit that she's pregnant to avoid these gender reveal type deals and this baby shopping and stuff, maybe there should be, there definitely actually should be a support group where she can talk to people about, hey, I've had a miscarriage before, I'm pregnant now, I'm nervous about letting people know, will you guys let me talk to you about it? Will you be my support system? It seems like that's very important to have.
Yes.
Yeah. You have to build, when you start talking about it, it's amazing how many people reach out.
Yeah.
And, privately or otherwise and say, hey, I've been there, or hey, I'm going through that, and they just want to talk. That's all it is. They just want someone who's been there with them before.
Right.
Because you understand it. You know the feelings. You know what they're going through. And so you just spend time together, you just talk, you just be there with the person, right? And you just understand what they're feeling. You don't try to make it better because there's no making it better.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
You don't try to change their mind and say, "Oh no, come on, have a party."
Stay positive
too. Yeah,
right.
stay positive.
Right.
God, I hate that one. Stay positive.
Think positive.
Yeah, think positive.
Positive thoughts. It's like that. You know what? Okay, the reality of the situation is that this has happened before, and women who have experienced it know the trauma of it, and they know the feelings that go with it, and they know the fear, and it's very real.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's not about thinking positive, it's about being realistic.
Right.
So, like Michelle and I have had many conversations about this, and, she's more about the spiritual aspect of things and why, miscarriage can occur and, the kind of, energy blockages and that type of thing. And I'm more about the science of everything. Like, I just want to know, like, on a cellular level, what the hell is wrong with me?
You can say fuck on it.
So that I can fix this, right?
Yeah.
Because if I know what the problem is, then I'm sure I can fix this some way, somehow,
Right.
So I think that's, where my frustration kind of comes from. And, then I've been told that sometimes, or it could be for me, like, it's an energy thing, like I'm not able to move forward, and then that's where I've been speaking with her about it. But that's what I'm saying, like there's no resources out there unless you just go out there and you're lucky to come across a Michelle.
Michelle's gonna unblock your negative energy.
Okay, I'm up for anything at this point.
I get that. I mean, you hear about people that are in situations like this and they explore every possible option, right?
Yeah,
so
me too.
It's not unheard of to try everything that isn't. If something's not working, you try something else.
You're gonna try everything.
Yeah, sure.
Oh my god, if you knew like half the rituals of the shit that I've been doing, it's unbelievable.
Can you tell us some?
Oh my god, it's just like certain vitamins. I've been using like certain oils at certain times, doing certain things, and it's just
crystal.
yeah, and it's just like, oh my god, I'm open to anything. I'll try anything. I've been wearing these funky bracelets. I got like something. I was told to buy something to hang off my mirror in my Jeep. Like I've done it all.
So this one's gonna be it then.
This one's gonna work.
Yeah.
Oh god.
Yeah. Well, we talked a little bit about sort of everything that you've gone through. How many miscarriages have you had to go through? Because it sounds like you did allow yourself to have those feelings. It came in the form of depression, but you felt it, right?
Yeah.
And you didn't care what anyone had to say. Like you were going to feel it regardless.
Well, I guess so. The first ones, I felt it, but I didn't feel it. Like I felt it, but I didn't know how to channel it properly.
Right.
So I felt the emotions, but I lashed out. So I took it out on my husband. He took it out on me. And so that it was a really bad way of handling the emotions.
Did you both really want a baby?
He did.
Okay.
He really wanted a baby. And this is where the guilt comes in.
Right.
Up until that point, I didn't want kids. So the guilt of that, of feeling like that's somehow my fault because they knew that I didn't want them. You feel that pressure, right? And the response from family members, and like I remember my mom telling me, well, because I asked her a year later, well, how come you never really asked if I was okay with going through the whole thing? And she kind of said, well, you didn't want kids anyway, so I thought you were fine with it. And I'm like,
Right.
Wow.
so
I remember we had that discussion.
yeah. So there's that, right? That if you're kind of seen as, well, if you didn't want kids, then, well, this is kind of what you get. So you kind of deserved it in a way, right? And while you're going through it, you ask the questions, did my mind cause this? Did they know, right? But once I was pregnant, I wanted them, at first it was scary as hell. And then when we found out they were twins, it was like really scary to go from not wanting kids to finding out you're having twins.
Yeah.
I was like, what are we going to do? I didn't feel like I could care for myself even then.
Yeah.
To go through that process and then to lose them, and we bought a crib, we bought clothes, we told our families, we had the party, we talked about names, we were excited, our friends all knew. So when it came, when we lost them, it was literally an ultrasound. We went in and well, not we, I went in, Jeff was at work, and Yes,
Yes,
exactly.
for no last name.
And so I remember the nurse turning off the sound and turning the monitor away from me. And I asked her what was wrong. And she said she couldn't tell me because I had to wait for my doctor to tell me. My doctor was on vacation for a week and a half.
Oh my God.
So I had to wait for the doctor to come home and give me the news that there was no heartbeats. So that whole time, I didn't tell Jeff. I didn't know how to say that. I was scared and I knew something was wrong, but because they don't do that, they don't turn the monitor away, they don't not tell you. But so I knew something was wrong, but I didn't know what. I didn't know. Well, did they have two heads? Is it Down syndrome? Is there something they're seeing on there that's wrong? What is wrong?
And you just sit with that for how long?
A week and a half.
A week and a half. You
Before
basically.
my doctor got home, from vacation. So, because back then the tech couldn't tell you anything. I don't know if that's changed. But
No,
back then,
same.
Yeah. So
I've had 2 of those ultrasounds.
And it has to be the doctor that tells you this.
Yeah, well, I had the radiology doctor come in and tell me for the first one. Again, I was alone as well. I was completely gobsmacked. I mean, I had a perfect pregnancy with McKenna, so I went in for an 8-week ultrasound, not even thinking.
Yeah.
And the guy's like, look, and he's like, I'm talking to him, and then he just stops talking to me, and I'm like, okay, whatever. And then he's like, well, I'll be right back, and I'm like, okay. And I'm just sitting there, doo-doo-doo.
Right.
And
you didn't think
I don't know, it's like 10 minutes later, then this radiology doctor comes in, and he's like, I'm sorry. He's like, there's no heartbeat. I'm like, what? What are you talking about?
What do you
I'm
mean
like,
there's no
are you
heartbeat?
sure? Do you want to check that again?
Yeah.
So
Because you feel pregnant. That's the thing, right? You still feel, your body still thinks you're pregnant.
Right.
So the symptoms are still getting worse.
Yes.
Or, you're not, all of a sudden you don't stop feeling sick. You
Right.
don't stop feeling dizzy. You don't stop feeling tired
That's it.
or grumpy.
that's it.
How long do you have the symptoms of like a regular pregnant woman after you miscarry? Like how long does your body
I
take?
don't know. I think it depends on the
Depends
person,
on the
but
hormone.
I
But you're still
think-
very hormonal.
I've
and
heard it takes 2 weeks. But I don't know about that because when I was walking around for 5 weeks and I went in for that ultrasound, I didn't feel
any less pregnant.
any less pregnant. I didn't look any less pregnant. I didn't cramp. I didn't bleed. I didn't have anything. Nothing.
Yeah.
So
that's that waiting
I'm
period
like,
that
how
they
could-
tell you to go
Right.
through again,
Like,
right?
how could
Wait
I
till your body gets through
possibly
it.
not know this for 5 whole weeks?
Yeah.
So I mean, for anybody to go through that, it's you can't go through this experience again without being a complete basket case.
Yeah. That
No.
kind of stuff traumatizes you.
Going
Yeah.
into those ultrasounds, oh my god, I have an anxiety attack every single time. Like last Friday, I had an anxiety attack so bad I crashed. I crashed hard, like an adrenaline dump, where
Yeah.
I like basically almost passed out after. It was terrible.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah.
They're brutal. They're really brutal. And my third one was, well, I've had 4 total. The third
So
one.
you both had the same number of miscarriages.
Well, yes, and like the one
Well,
wasn't
yeah.
really a miscarriage.
Okay.
The one was it was an ectopic pregnancy, so it's a little different. It means a pregnancy happened in the tube.
Yes.
And so my tube actually burst.
Really.
I didn't know I was pregnant, and there was no signs, no symptoms, but it burst, and it was on the night of my birthday, and they took
Awesome.
me to the hospital, and I had to have surgery and blood transfusion and everything. So
Oh my god.
yeah, that was fun.
Wow.
And then so this last one should never have happened by all medical kind of tellings, is that I shouldn't be able to be pregnant anymore
Because of that, what happened in your tube, the ectopic pregnancy.
yeah,
Right.
yeah, and because of the miscarriage before that. So
Right.
there's every miscarriage you have, they say that
Lessens
your
your
risk,
chance.
your risk of another miscarriage increases. So it's it almost goes up 25% each time.
Really?
So they say. I mean, how can they prove that? I don't know.
They've got these stats that I swear to God they just pull out of their ass.
Yeah, I don't think they have a clue.
Yeah.
Wow.
And you hear people having eight miscarriages and then having regular children.
I know lots of people that have had that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the stats don't make sense. I don't know where they come from. I don't know,
The same stats that they get for breast cancer.
Yeah, exactly. Somebody thought of numbers one day and wrote them down.
That's pretty much it. That sounds good.
8.
Let's make this official.
Yes. Publish a research paper on this.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think that the more that you research sort of studies that have been done in the medical field, a lot of the time you can skew the numbers based on who's paying for the study, right?
Well, that's, very true.
Absolutely.
Yes,
so if you look
time.
back on it, there's a lot of contradictory information when it comes to statistics, and you're absolutely right. I mean, it probably is whatever that person agrees with at the time. I don't think that there's anyone that's spewing at the fact that it increases by 25% probably wasn't part of that study and has no idea.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and the facts are, I know I've personally met a lot of people that disprove that. I know Michelle's met a lot of people that disprove that. So where are they pulling these numbers from?
Basically, you could disprove that, right?
We
now.
could, yeah,
Kind
exactly.
of. I mean, if it's 25%, you're over 100% already.
Yeah.
So,
Pretty much,
yeah.
It's there, right?
Yeah.
And so that's another problem, is the information they give you is all like weird. It's sort of, well, where did you get that? And there's no answer, right?
Did they
No
ever
answer.
figure out why you had your miscarriages?
No. So
Are you inconclusive?
Yeah, I'm inconclusive too.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm still
So
inconclusive.
you're in my made up box?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
The checkbox of
Yeah, I like you for a reason.
yeah.
So when we got our final fertility report, they ran all the numbers on Jim and I, and chromosomes and blood level, or our blood types and everything like that. Basically, we're told that we're like a match made in heaven.
Really?
So yeah,
So everything looks compatible on paper?
Yep. And so it comes down to me. And so there's all these boxes and reasons as to what the issue is. And they drew a little box and they wrote inconclusive beside it.
Make up a box.
And it came down to the maternal age of my eggs.
Oh, right.
So I have old ass eggs apparently at 39. I think the most shocking part about that is, he gave me an ultrasound and he took a look at, the ovaries and everything like that. And he's like, oh, your ovaries look great. They look nice and young, super healthy. They're functioning properly. And I'm like, well, how the hell do you have rotten eggs and friggin' perfect ovaries?
Yeah.
I'm like, somebody explain this to me
happening?
scientifically. Anybody out there, explain this to me scientifically. So,
Maybe it's from our party days. I know that my sperm are probably 67, somewhere in there, from all the
They've
alcohol and
aged.
drugs I put in my body. But that's just me. I'm probably kids are gonna come out with.
well, my
Benjamin
ovaries
Button
held in there great, so I don't know.
I think honestly, they sometimes just make shit up.
That's exactly what my point is that I'm getting to. So it's like, okay, we can't come up with a conclusive reason. I don't have polycystic ovary. I don't have endometriosis. I don't have this, that, or the other issue. So we're just going to say you have old eggs. We're going to wrap it up with that.
Wow.
And then off you go.
Yeah, pretty much.
Good
Good luck
luck
to you.
Yeah.
So it sounds like in this support group that you ladies are trying to coordinate to build, there needs to be some reliable data that you somehow track down somehow to give to, or at least some kind of information that helps other women. So it's not just
Well, and I also find at the fertility clinic, they kind of do a cookie cutter system on you.
Mm-hmm.
So they put every single person through the same system. They give every single person progesterone, whether if they need it or not. They offer IUI and IVF to every single person, regardless if you need it. Or if I have old eggs, why would I do that as an option? I'm not getting it. Why would I spend $3,000 to pump out more of my old eggs?
If they're the problem.
If that's the problem.
right. So some of this stuff just kind of
It
contradicts.
just makes no sense. It's like, okay, so they just do the same system with every single person and just, good luck. See what happens.
So obviously it's a problem. It needs to be solved.
It's a big time problem.
I think, I think the data and the stats and the research need to be improved, definitely. Whether it's just, Canadian system or American, I don't know what the American
I'm sure it has something to do with that.
right? I don't have that much knowledge of what other healthcare systems are like with dealing with this.
Right.
You know, like the Swedes are amazing at pretty much everything.
That
So,
seems that way.
Let's just move there.
Yeah.
right? So, like,
Yeah.
what's their system? How do they handle this?
Right.
That kind of thing. But I think what we need is something that's grassroots. Like I said, like it's like a community-based approach, because I think it's not just the lack of numbers and data and an answer, because sometimes there actually just might not be an answer, right? And I think sometimes we have to be okay with that. Like with
Right.
me, right? I've
Yeah.
kind of come to terms with the fact that maybe this is just not going to happen. You know what I mean? And so maybe I don't need an answer as to why it's not going to, because I can't.
But I do.
You do. Yeah, you know, there are people like Michelle that
Yeah,
they
yeah.
want that concrete, give
Sure.
me the friggin' answer.
I need to know.
You know,
Right.
whereas I take it more, like she said, a little more on that spiritual level of it's maybe just not meant to be for me.
Right.
And to try and find peace with that.
Mhm.
You know, but I think whichever way you fall on thinking of this, there needs to be support for the emotional part of that. You know, whichever way you think about the why, right? The
Mhm.
why is this happening to me? Why us, right? Why us? And why not that street person who's doing drugs and doing drinking and taking awful
Abuses
care
their
of themselves
kids
and
and-
abuses their kids and that person, why that person gets 9 healthy children and good people don't. Why, right?
Yeah.
Well, the why is sometimes just who knows, right?
Right.
There's no answer.
Are we allowed to ask that question? I don't know.
Well, the universe may or may not give you an answer, so you may not even like that answer.
If it gives an answer, it gives an answer. It's just
Yeah.
one of those when it comes and how it comes but I think ultimately what it comes down to is you need a group of people that are supportive for you. You know,
Okay.
ultimately it's a very basic thing. You need someone you can talk to and be validated in the way you feel.
And I think also there needs to be some support systems for, husbands, and I think there needs to be support systems for even, I don't even
For
know,
parents.
and kids.
Kids, yes. Yeah.
Like McKenna's 5, but I'm sure there's situations where there's kids that are quite a bit older and on a different level of understanding, and it's like who's helping them through that?
Right.
Yeah.
You know?
What do you what is your strategy for telling McKenna if there is bad news, and what have you done previously?
I have told her that.
Are you just honest? And
I have to be honest with her because
Yeah.
she sees my stomach change.
Right.
Right. So.
You two are really, really close.
And we're very close, and I'm very straightforward and honest with her,
And ultimately, this might be something that she
has to
comes
deal
to
with
terms
eventually.
with in her life at some point, right?
Right.
Because who knows, right?
Yeah.
And so to watch mom go through it.
Is there a
be real
genetic?
about it.
Can it be?
well,
genetic?
there is if
Yeah.
I had an issue, but I'm inconclusive.
Right.
So,
So we don't know. For sure.
I've got a healthy uterus and healthy ovaries and crappy eggs. I don't know.
And everyone in my family's had kids, right? And my
And
brother
I had
was
a
pregnant,
perfect
so-
first pregnancy, so.
So really, there is no answer.
There's no
It can
answer.
just happen.
But with McKenna, I've told her, that her baby brother or baby sister are playing hide and seek. That they're just not ready to come yet, and they'll come back, and she'll be like, oh, and she'll just get frustrated. She'll be like, "That's silly baby brother or baby sister."
That's super.
So but when I was pregnant, the furthest along, I told her that the baby wasn't ready, and
That's a tough conversation.
it was a very tough conversation. And the thing was that I've never really exposed McKenna to religion at all. I remember telling you this story, I think, yes. So I didn't really know how to. Anyways, I took the wrong approach. Anyways. And I was trying to explain this to her, and then she was upset for a little bit, and she's like, "But I want them to come right now." And I said, "Well, I know you do, honey, and I do too, but it's not up to us. It's up to the big guy in the sky."
Right.
And she's looking at me completely confused, and she's like,
She's like,
"You're the weatherman?" I'm like, "Oh my god, I'm gonna ruin this kid."
Yeah.
She's gonna grow up hating weathermen and not knowing why.
Yeah.
And had hate mail.
That's so cute.
Bring that damn stork back.
So, are we? I mean, it seems like you ladies are more than willing. This could be the starting point of the support group. If anyone's watching, or wants to reach out to you, obviously you're both, I'm assuming, open to communicating with people that want to talk.
Absolutely.
We
Right.
actually have a group that we've started.
Okay.
And we're working on a project
Okay.
to build in the community.
Does it have
that
a
would
name?
help to support. No, we've had like one meeting.
Right on.
So
Okay.
far, it's just us. We don't
Yeah.
know what we're calling it. We don't know how it's really going to look yet. We've just talked about, like, we came together to kind of share our mutual experiences, topics that might be something that we need to address with this program.
Mhm.
So things like the lack of empathy in the medical system, the lack of consistency, the lack of actual like data,
Right.
things like recurrent pregnancies, things like
Secondary miscarriages.
how to support family members, how to talk to kids. Lots of topics came out from that discussion, and so from that, there's lots of different offshoots of things. Like there could be, we talked about doing like because when you have a miscarriage, you're not likely to leave your house sometimes, right? So if you're like me, you hole up, right? And that's what I did. So I literally needed someone to come to me, like come to my house with food,
Right,
bring
yeah.
me food, and just sit there and talk with me, like have some tea. So it's almost like, taking, if there's like a volunteer group of people who, if we know of women who have reached out, and then they're, that we take turns kind of caring for them, and actually going to their house in person, not a Facebook, that's a component of it maybe, is a
Right.
Facebook kind of support group, but also a real life interaction
Right.
with somebody who's been there,
Right.
and who can empathize and isn't going to tell you stupid shit like it's going to get better tomorrow, or don't worry, you can have another one, because one of us, we're never going to say that to somebody going through it.
Right.
And so there's these different ideas that we talked about having like a healing, actual like concrete bricks and mortar sort of resource for people to come to, that maybe there's classes like art therapy classes, yoga and meditation classes, and
So
maybe there's
self-care.
therapists.
After the fact, self-care to help kind of pick you back up again.
Because it's ongoing, it never goes away. That's the thing, is this isn't something that you just deal with and you get over it in time.
Right.
That grief stays, and it's
And guilt.
and the guilt. And so to be around sometimes people who have experienced that in their lives, whether it's recent or not, it helps you kind of have a safe place, just a place where you can go where these people have dealt with it.
Yeah.
Or continue to deal with it,
Yeah.
So I think there's a comfort in that, of having people come together. And even if you're just doing something together that has nothing to do with the topic, you're not talking about miscarriage.
Right.
You're drawing on a piece of paper, you're painting in a paint class or something. You're not actively talking, but you're in a room surrounded with people who have an experience like you, and who have that same little part of them that feels broken. So I think there's meaning in that.
And that it's okay to be broken.
Yeah, you don't actually have to be perfect, shiny, happy, and
Getting
all
over
the
it.
time. Yeah.
Right.
So to have that kind of a place where you can go and feel okay for feeling sad, and to go and say, I'm having a shitty day and my head's back there, and I need to just get out of it, So to have that, and to know that you're supported in that, I think is important. And maybe it has a learning component for doctors and for nurses and people in fertility clinics too. So we're looking at, what sources of funding are out there. Maybe Innovation Works through their social innovation program. There's a lot of different options that we're looking at right now to reach out for. But we're like, literally, we've had one meeting. So so we're hoping that it's going to grow from there. And for sure, anybody that's interested, reach out to Michelle, reach out to me. Nicole Stevenson and Julie Nixon are also going to be involved. So, just reach out. Michelle or Melissa McNichol. There's lots of us that are on board for this.
Sure.
So,
okay. Awesome. Any last messages, words of wisdom before we kind of wrap up here?
I think my message would just be, if you're going through this, just talk to someone. Do not hold this up, because it's the worst thing you can do. That eats away at you. So just, reach out to someone.
And know it's okay to be sad.
Yeah.
You're allowed.
You're allowed to feel what you feel.
Yeah.
Okay. Awesome. And, well, ladies, thank you very much for coming. It's been very informative. I know I've learned a lot. Also, for anyone that's watching this right now, both of these ladies have their own private podcast that you can tune in. You can click on our website link. It will take you to our YouTube channel. Look for Michelle Wesgarth and Michelle Goldrick. That's the names of these beautiful women here. Beautiful souls, inside and out.
Oh, thank you.
I don't think you're that broken, ladies. I think you're just fine the way you are.
Maybe a little crackly.
So, thank you for coming. Thank you for sharing everything that you're doing with the support group. If I can help in any way I can, obviously, I'd love to do so. So let me know.
Thank you so much. This is great help right here.
Yeah, and I guess that's it for this evening. And come back anytime. I hope you progress and we can come on and bring this whole group on one day.
And I hope I have wonderful news for everybody.
I hope so
Hopefully
too.
We're gonna have a baby that we can bring on.
That would be amazing.
Two.
That'd be amazing. And obviously, we're all pulling for you.
Thank you.
Okay.
I appreciate that.
All right, guys. So we will see you again. I guess it'll be Sunday, and we'll go from there. Thanks for tuning in.